Extension of the states of emergency and disaster after the Republican-led legislature refused to extend it last week.
In a radio interview today, Michigan Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey backed the idea of a petition to limit the governor's emergency powers and said the legislature will likely sue the governor next week. Tonight, a West Michigan lawyer, though, is explaining why she and others believe that the governor's actions are unlawful. Our Marissa Oberly is live in Grand Rapids after speaking with her tonight. Marissa?
Yeah, Annie, Derek, that attorney's name is Catherine Henry. She says while the governor is granted special powers during a state of emergency, those powers are limited.
People absolutely should not be complying with that.
Meet Catherine Henry. She's a licensed attorney in Hudsonville with 19 years of legal experience, most recently working at her own firm, Catherine Henry PC, and with the Great Lakes Justice Center. She says in her legal opinion, Governor Whitmer is acting unlawfully.
We have two sets of laws that relate to the emergency management powers.
When the governor extended the states of emergency and disaster in Michigan after the House rejected that request Thursday, she cited two laws as her basis: the Emergency Powers of Governor of 1945 and Emergency Management Act of 1976. Henry explains the 1976 law requires the legislature to approve any extensions after 28 days, but the 1945 one is broader and doesn't need that legislative buy-in, which is what Governor Whitmer said gave her that authority. But Henry says those laws can't be read separately.
The way our laws work, though, is all the laws on the same point have to be read together, have to be read in harmony, even if they were enacted at totally different times.
Henry adds when Governor Whitmer did so, she signed 3 executive orders that terminated the original declaration, continued it, then declared new states of emergency and disaster. But Henry says since it's the same conditions that led to the initial emergency, it's not enforceable because it's beyond that allowable time limit.
It might be a totally separate state of disaster if the emergency or the disaster has totally ended. The harm is gone, and then it might be a separate situation that has flared up, but we haven't seen a second wave of COVID-19.
Henry points out with the rejection, legislators did not say COVID-19 is not something to worry about, but instead said the emergency is more manageable than before. She says the goal of a state of emergency is to not eradicate the situation, but bring it to a state that can be handled together.
There's nothing now that would be needed that she can do, and we can go ahead and codify that into law through the proper legislative process. We don't have to have one person in the governor's seat deciding all those things.
And I did reach out to the governor's office for a comment on this opposition. They instead pointed me to the governor's press conference in which she said Republicans are acting as though the state is in a political, we're in the midst of a political party, when in fact the state is in the middle of a public health crisis. That conference was this past Friday. You can find a full link to it on fox17online.com. Reporting live in Grand Rapids, Marissa Oberly, Fox 17 News.
All right, Marissa, thank you. Under the current orders, people are required to wear face masks in public unless, of course, they're medically unable to.
An Flint security guard is dead after reportedly asking a couple to wear them inside the Family Dollar. This happened on Friday. Police say the woman, Charmel Teague, got into an altercation with the security guard when he told her she needed a mask. She reportedly yelled and spit on him and was asked to leave the store. Police say she left, then came back with 2 other guys who confronted the guard. One then reportedly shot him in the back of the head. He later died at the hospital. All 3 suspects are now facing first-degree murder charges. The woman is in custody. The 2 guys are said to be on the run tonight still, however. Another confrontation involving masks. Take a look at this video caught on camera in Oakland County at the Dollar Tree in Holly on Saturday. Police say a guy walked in without the mask. The clerk told him he needed to wear one. They say the guy responded, as you'll see here, allegedly by wiping his nose on her shirt. Police say he then made a comment about using her clothing as masks. Tonight, they are still looking for that man.
And SpartanNash pharmacies across Michigan will be reserving hours for those most at risk for COVID-19. The change goes into effect tomorrow at